start with the webinar. This normal disclaimer. Next. So trainer introduction already done. Certification both in Solution Manager and Cloud ALM as well. Certifications. Training I've already discussed with you. Shared. We have your introduction also we have covered. So I think most of you are from SAP except I think one person from Quipno. Sorry, I missed your name. So SAP is a enterprise ERP software, German based. The name SAP stands for not an exact acronym, but a system application product and data sourcing. Is the number one ERP software in the world, used by most of the Fortune 500 companies. Okay, I don't need to go through it. Okay. So just skip to the next slide. Just a history of SAP. Most of you already know this. Okay. So it was founded by 5 engineers from IBM. Okay. And probably skip this as well. Okay. So this is the current job outlook for Cloud ALM. So the job outlook obviously is promising considering it's the successor or the next gen ALM product from from SAP, and considering it's a cloud solution, so it is going to be the future, right? So this is just what you can expect from a career perspective, from a salary perspective. Okay, so there could be different titles or who are working on Cloud ALM, right? Cloud ALM consultant or SAP ALM consultant, where you're working on either solution manager or Cloud ALM, or a mix of both. You could be on the technical side and the functional side. Right. So obviously industries where this is current maximum uses in the information technology services, manufacturing, retail, e-commerce, and professional services. This is the salary trend. Can go through that. So just a pictorial representation. Okay. So since SAP in general caters to all the possible industries in the in the world or in the public domain. So similarly, Cloud ALM also caters to all the industries, considering it is the only, or going forward will be the only end-to-end ALM product from, at least in the near future, right? So you never know, SAP they come up with something, but anyway, this is going to be the only ALM product which is SAP is aggressively positioning as the at the base of your transformational journey or any project you'll probably be running later on with S/4HANA public or private edition or SAP Rise, whatever could be your combination of the projects you're working on or transformation. So in that way, Cloud ALM supports all the industries which are currently available or on which SAP is available. So in that way. So the course objective would obviously be, understanding the core functionalities and the architecture of SAP Cloud ALM. Since it's a cloud solution, so we'll be talking more about the functionalities it can provide and how we can leverage that. Okay. Obviously, the second step would be, once you know about the Cloud ALM, how do you leverage that in your project, on your job, or whatever it could be, right? To leverage it, to set it up, to configure it, to support your customers or your own journey, right? So a typical example would be you're working on a customer project where they want to use Cloud ALM during their migration or implementation of S/4HANA or public Rise projects. So you configure the implementation part, which will support in your journey of implementing or the project lifecycle. And operations part is the after the project has gone live. So from a monitoring perspective or from a run perspective, how to manage your system, your processes through Cloud ALM. So as I said, you can the monitoring aspect of Cloud ALM that we'll be covering, the task management. So when we talk about task in Cloud ALM, it's a broad category where it undercomes requirement, your subtask, task. We'll talk about that later in the detail of in the training. Test automation we have. So we have inbuilt trace and test automation is integrated, and along with other things, and within SAP environments. Also, how do you manage through Cloud ALM? How do you manage your project or process? That we'll cover in detail. Also, we'll prepare you for Cloud ALM certification with real-time implementation scenarios where we'll be doing hands-on, and we'll be providing lab as well. Okay, so basic or prerequisites would be a basic understanding of the SAP, just to be familiar with the terms and the terminology or the landscape, how it works. Knowledge of implement doesn't necessarily you need to have the the technical or the complete grasp of implementation, but more of a knowledge, like how does a implementation of a SAP project actually runs through from realize to deploy phase, right? Just and obviously curiosity to explore new products, and since this is a cloud product, so cloud product Okay. So as such, there obviously if you have solution as experience, that is added advantage. So it would be easier for you to grasp the some of the terminology and how it's an SAP doesn't sell it as the successor to SAP Solution Manager, but it is because after Solution Manager, this is the ALM product which SAP has provisioned. We have FRN also, but FRN anyways is for a completely different set of. It is basically for operations, right? So it doesn't actually match, or we cannot say it as the successor of Solution Manager. Okay. Who should take up this course? Obviously, anyone who's interested to learn cloud ALM or wants to leverage or want to enhance their career, because cloud ALM is the next gen solution provided by SAP, and there, as you might have seen in the market, or you might have got understanding that they are like, even for the the clean core, which they have been emphasizing a lot. So clean core also, they are bringing many processes and tasks on cloud ALM. So your clean core eventually would be leveraged through your cloud ALM. So in that way, they are pushing. They have uh, bought Signavio, which is a business process software. I think you've heard. So they have integrated that with cloud ALM. Lean IX, so enterprise architecture. They have bought it and they have again integrated it with cloud ALM. So in a way, they are positioning cloud ALM as the one-stop solution for all the customers to manage from scratch till the end, from deploy, realize till deploy your complete project lifecycle. And after that, operations and the run part as well. Right. So anyone who's interested, fresh graduates, IT professional, SAP professional, obviously, you are looking for a career change, right? So it is very to put it, best suited, considering it's not a very old product. So you don't have, it's not like you have lost too much time, and still it's not, so you're in middle, so you have the time to learn it and catch up. So in that way, it's for career change also good. Business professional looking for technical knowledge and whatever, right? And job seekers, to change jobs. So training benefits, obviously. So we offer training and certification option. So we have the training and post that certification option as well. Obviously, like experienced instructors guide each training and upgrading. So we have, like, I have the experience. I've already taken courses on cloud ALM itself. So nothing to worry on that. And also you'll be provided with the complete set of whatever aids which you can accept. More than that, right? You'll have courseware, you have assignments, lab case studies, you'll give ebooks, whatever and you'll have, I think you'll have access it for a longer period of time, not only till the duration of the training. Obviously, like as I say, you can, the training blog and the recorded session, all these sessions would be recorded, and you would have it for quite some time, right? Access to that. No, it's not like that only till the duration of the course you would be able to. Okay, so these are one of some of the benefits or the unique benefits of this training. Okay. So now coming to the actual thing where what we have gathered here. So SAP Cloud, as most of you must know, so Cloud ALM is the ALM tool from SAP, which is the new gen. We should not call it, because SAP also doesn't position is as the successor of the solution manager. So we had earlier SAP Solution Manager as the ALM tool, but since most of you know, SAP Solution Manager getting sunset in 2027. Some of the project related functionalities like CHARM and ITSM would be there till 2030, but the rest of the functionality really won't be supported after 2027. So that's why most of the customers, or SAP is also pushing all the customers to move to SAP Cloud ALM, and which is the one-stop application lifecycle management for your processes, projects, everything. And since it's cloud-based, you have regular updates. It's like features are getting updated probably if I can say, every 2 weeks. They have that plan, like as per the timeline, every 2 weeks features get updated. So it's not like you have to wait for a release or a SPS update, right? It's a cloud solution, so the updates happen backend. So you get all the features on the go, right? There is no infrastructure cost, no administration cost. It's based anything like any other cloud solutions. So similarly, you access your cloud LM through a tenant-based setup where you have a URL. You have to, and any of the customers who have enterprise contract, cloud LM is actually free. So in a way, cloud LM is free with one tenant, right? You can obviously request for another tenant, but that is chargeable. But for most of the customer with the enterprise contract, the cloud LM tenant comes free of cost. Okay, so it's actually free if you want to use. It's actually free. There are no cost, no database, nothing, because it's cloud solution, so it doesn't have any. thing. So obviously, cloud solution is obviously, since it's cloud, so it is more cloud centric. But considering SAP itself has not moved completely to a cloud setup, they still have systems on-prem. So it also supports a hybrid approach where you have it supports on-prem systems as well, like your S4 on-prem and your ABAP, anything based on 7.40. So it supports those systems as well. Plus, most of the, not all still, but because as I said, it's still not a mature product, it's still evolving. As I said, every week, every 2 weeks, it's new features are getting added. Plus, most of the cloud solution, SAP cloud solutions, are supported by cloud. Recently, they have also enabled it for non-SAP products. So earlier, it only supported SAP products, prem cloud. But recently, they have released that feature for public where it is supported. It supports non-SAP products or technologies tool as well, but it's in a limited way. But obviously, since they have started it, eventually, before we reach 2020, by the end of 2025-26, it would be a full-fledged support. Because SAP also understand that because most of its customers don't use only SAP, right? There are most of the customers use a mix of SAP on SAP with other third-party products, right? Who are, how do I put it? Who are the experts in their own field, right? Like tools, like so. In that way, that's why SAP is also suggesting that has opened it for non-SAP products as well. So what function does SAP Cloud ALM? So as I said, it covers all the phases of the project lifecycle, starting from the realize till deploy phase. Okay. It covers almost all the SAP solutions, on-prem, cloud, public edition, S4HANA public, private, on-prem all editions. So you can, it covers the process, test, deploy, task management, plus monitoring. The operations part, which I talk is more mainly focused on the monitoring or the run phase, and the implementation area. So okay, so cloud, I think I missed that. So SAP has within how Cloud ALM is position is, it has two sections. It has other sections, but the main sections are implementation and operations. Operations covers most of the the monitoring, like for the run phase, what you want to use for setting up your monitoring for your S4HANA system, for your cloud solution, success factor, Ariba, business process monitoring. So those come under operations. For under implementation is again to manage any of your projects. It could be a migration, it could be S4HANA implementation, greenfield implementation, brownfield, depending on your requirement. It supports your, or from the implementation area, it supports the complete life cycle of the project. Okay. So that's why you can, create your requirements, run your workshop, then testing, then your release management to change and the complete life cycle it supports. Okay. Also, obviously, like on the operation side, they have inbuilt few of the, how do you put it, AI capability. They are still in nascent state, but some of, like for operations, for monitoring, they have a no based on the trend analysis and auto, how do you put it, like thresholds. Threshold would be managed automatically based on a analysis for a period of time. The threshold might get that AI capability is currently there, but also an inbuilt event management capabilities there on the operations part, where you don't get flooded with the same issue. You don't get flooded with the same alert for the same issue. It's like it's an event management. So it correlates the events, considering that, okay, this is same issue we have already received, and so you should not send another alert, but just updates it. So event correlation also is there, but obviously these things are more in progress. It's still mature enough. Okay. So yeah. So the key features, the unique features of Cloud ALM is, know about the SAP Activate methodology and best practices. So in Cloud ALM, it's inbuilt in the sense, if you want to start a project, you have the option to leverage the SAP Activate methodology or the SAP best practices, which SAP provides. So there is an option which we'll be covering in the detail in the training, but which you don't have to go anywhere else or check that or upload it or export it. Nothing. You have an option to leverage that, the best practices in SAP Activate methodology, depending on it. Currently, there are obviously not all options are covered, but mostly the most popular ones like S4HANA, private edition, public edition, and implementation, migration, for success factor, for Ariba. These things are covered. Okay. Again, it provides you process management where you can create or leverage again through the SAP Activate methodology and the best practices. You can leverage the already available standard business processes, and you can run your workshops, fit to gap workshops from there, or you can create your own process and based on that you can run your workshops, testing, deployment, right? So that leverage this. So both you can use both the standard words, you can copy the standard words and you can customize that based on your requirement, or you can completely create your own processes. And just to add here, since the Signavio, SAP Signavio integration is there, so you can leverage Signavio also to model your business processes and bring them into your Cloud ALM and then run your workshops based on that. For Signa, as far as my knowledge, for Signavio, you probably need a separate license. I'm not updated on that. The last I checked, you needed a separate license to use Signavio. It's an inbuilt integration, but yeah, you have to use, I think you need a separate license. So that is one thing. It doesn't come as part of the Cloud ALM free tenant. Okay. Again, obviously, when you start your project, you have to define the scope, your team, and everything, right? So everything you can use through Cloud ALM. You don't have to go to any other project management tool or PMS tool to manage your project. If you want, you can manage your complete project lifecycle from scratch through Cloud ALM. Like you can define your scope, you can onboard your teams, you can track the project progress. There are inbuilt analytics for the project phase itself in Cloud ALM that you can leverage. Like proactive monitoring analytics, like on the operations part again, since we can set up monitoring. We have business process monitoring, health monitoring. Health monitoring is nothing but the system monitoring which we had in Solution Manager, but not complete, but a subset of that. There again, as I said, there is still bringing new things on that. So we have synthetic monitoring, real user monitoring. Synthetic monitoring is nothing but, again, I think if some of you have worked with Solution Manager, the user experience monitoring. So that only they have covered here synthetic monitoring, where it uses runners and you can replicate the end user environment and monitor from that what is the performance at the end user side. So that's synthetic monitoring. So as I already mentioned, we have business process monitoring. So these are the operations area. Obviously, we have defects also you can manage either on the project and the operations side both. So you can manage your issues, fixes, everything within Cloud ALM only. You don't have to go anywhere else. Analytics, as I already told. So we have analytics on both on the implementation part, where you can have analytics on the project lifecycle, as in what is to give an example, like where in a given day, what is the current state of the project. So that analytic it can give based on the number of requirements which have been created, the workshop which have been built. So everything can be tracked. And similarly, on the operations part, also the analytics is there, depending on whether you're using business process monitoring or health monitoring. There's an analytics section which can like take an example, like job monitoring is there. So if a job is failing, or what is the for particular job, if you want to see how much it has failed, or if it has failed and what was the average duration of its run whenever it has run. So those all things can be seen the analytics section of the job monitoring. Okay, and I'll move to the next.
Hey, can we take some questions? We have 3 questions from
Sure, yeah.
So the first one is, Ravi, do you want to go ahead and unmute and ask, please?
Yes, the question is that no, because how we convince the company to move to the ALM, because no, every weeks I have a meeting. So we have in the on-premise, and now how can I decide that as a project manager that I should go for the ALM? Yeah.
Okay, so if just to understand, the landscape is hybrid, or you said on-premise, right?
We have the on-premise, yes, and which is running almost more than 150 countries, yes.
Okay, and what are you currently using, if I may ask, the functionalities of solution management? Just
till now for the only we using solution manager. My question is that how can I convince that we should go to the ALM? Yeah, that is my questions.
Cloud ALM. So see, obviously, first or the most important thing is that solution manager is going sunset in 2027. So that is the main reason that we have to move to Cloud ALM, and should be the starting point. And after that, the starting point should be that Cloud ALM provides you a lot of more features, cloud-centric. And it is not only that it's only for cloud, but it supports your on-prem systems as well, right? All the standard on-prem systems, which are based on SAP above 740 and above, those are supported. As for HANA for on-prem is supported. So, and obviously when you move to a cloud solution, and as I said that every 2 weeks or 1 week, a new features are getting added. and it provides a lot more new gen technology and new gen tools to help the customer in running their processes, their projects in a more efficient way, right? So these should be the two talking points, because we don't have
time to value be one of them as well.
Sorry.
Faster time to value.
Yeah, obviously, because it's a cloud solution. There is no effort to set it up. It's already set up. You have to configure, but obviously that configuration also depends how much customization you want. And since it's a cloud solution, you don't have that much option to customize. So it's
Right.
it, as Alok said. So value to that time is also very minimal, right? So in
And
that way,
Ratan, how you calculate the cost? Like if I wanted to see as a project manager how much the cost will come here, are you also going to show us the cost also?
cost would be probably I won't be covering that as part of the training. But as I said, Cloud ALM itself doesn't cost anything. It would be already part of your SAP Enterprise contract. So you don't pay anything to use Cloud ALM. The only cost involved would be the consultants will be working on Cloud ALM to set up or configure based on your requirement. But again, that would not be an additional cost, because if you are using Solution Manager, you would already have people with like the consultants who are working on Solution Manager best suited to also take up, like it's like, to take an example, like how basis consultants are more suited to take the BTP role, BTP admin part, right? So similarly, probably the consultant would need a bit of reskilling or upskilling, and then they should be able to help your customer in setting up Cloud LM and supporting that. So actually, cost wise, if you see, there's nothing much on the cost, but yeah, that consultant cost, probably consulting cost, if that we have to add. But from a infrastructure or a software licensing, there's no cost. It's zero, right?
Okay, thanks.
And is this who asked this question? So
Yeah.
I just want to suggest something as well. So we work with quite a lot of teams. Okay, I know a very good team which has done the same exact thing what you're asking. So I'm not gonna go in deep into that, where they have suggested the proposal and all that stuff. They've done exactly what you're asking. So they presented to the management the benefits on the company goals. They in fact did a pilot proposal as well. So I know this because I was involved in it, at the very high end. So if you want, please reach out and I can surely connect you with that company. And they, it basically what they said was they basically had the alignment of the benefits and the company goals. So they took that. And then they highlighted long-term gains. When you see the long-term gains, they did that very well. And then the best part, which actually clicked, was the pilot proposal. When they submitted that pilot proposal, that was very good. Okay. Another thing I really wanted to, I'm an analytics guy. I love numbers. So when you give a company data-driven decision-making ideas, all that, they love it. They absolutely love it. So they showed the benefits of advanced analytics, real-time insights, all of that stuff. So I know quite a lot on the very high level. Like if you want me to go in and do something I can't, but I know all this stuff. Yeah. If you want, please reach out and I can surely connect. And then you can,
One question here, Ratan, like how the transport request system will work. Yes. If I am going to replace the solution manager.
Yes. So in Cloud LM, they call it feature. Okay, like there, I think you're talking about change management and charm.
Yeah.
Here correct. So here it's called change and deployment management, and we have features which the similar sections. See, features would have transport attached to it, and you will move your features based on statuses, and the transport will be moved to or will be managed. So it's there.
Okay.
So it's called change and deployment management in Cloud Element feature. There we call it change document or RFC. Here we have only feature, and feature would have your transport. So we have that because it is one of the important. But that's why I think initially I mentioned that's why they have for CHARM and ITSM they have extended it to 2030. Others are getting sunset, but for those there will be some. So for Cloud ALM, that's why. So they are aggressively on that list, change and deployment. So we have retrofit also on that, POCs and everything. So whatever you have in chain management, you can leverage or use the same thing through Cloud ALM as well, or manage the same things. how you're managing.
A question, if you want to go and ask that question, you hear?
And then I didn't ask any question.
Oh, you have a question for all the SAP ECS RISE customers. Oh, that was a statement. Oh, I'm my bad.
Oh, and then I worked with the SAP RISE team.
Correct.
Yeah. So recently I got an update from them, like they will be able to help any customer.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Alok, sorry, I have a follow-up question on the cost part. In my research, right? So SAP CAM comes as a free for the customer with the enterprise edition, right? That comes with pre-configured and also at the specific database size. So what if for a global customers who has huge volumes and they would need to scale up their monitoring ALMD database? So I heard that the SAP has come up with the prices if you need to size up your database for your production volumes, then it comes with an additional cost.
Mm.
So is this true?
Yes. So with the free tenant, it's 8 GB of. It's actually not. You can call it database also, but yeah, it's 8 GB for the free tenant. And if you need any additional, earlier it was not. Last quarter only they have for public. Like earlier, you could not basically request for a separate tenant, and any customer would have only one tenant. But they have now, as you said, like for global customers, they would have a requirement of other. Some customers require a non-pro tenant for dev and a pro tenant. They want to have that segregation. So they have that. You can request, and the second tenant would be on cost. It's not free. That if you are asking me for the pricing, I really don't have that pricing with me. But I can just add it that the 8 GB is no. When we say 8 GB, we think it's very less, right? But 8 GB, obviously, like it's a global customer. It might not suffice in the long run, but to start with, it's enough. So how they calculate 8 GB is it's not on the I don't know how to put it, not the monitoring effort they're putting, but the data which gets stored. So how Cloud ALM works is that any data they have when 14 days keep. If you want to keep older data, you can request that. But by standard, they keep only 14 days of data, and it's a very the cloud solution is very light. So 8 GB would be, or the free tenant would be enough for you to start with, and even go live. Obviously, on due course of time, you would have enough data, so probably then you can request for the additional tenant. Yeah, but 8 GB, just how to put it, 8 GB. Don't take it in that just like it's enough to start. And I have seen big customers with 8 GB, and it suffices. Right? Obviously, if you're using very extensively, you can request for an additional tenant.
Another question we have is: will this training touch on Signavio, and if it does, how much are we going to touch?
We won't touch it in detail. Just a brief summary or like a high level, but we won't be touching it because Signavio itself requires another separate training because it talks about business process modeling. But I'll be touching how you leverage Signavio and bring your processes which are getting created or you're working on the business process modeling. So how do you bring it in Cloud ALM? How the integration? It's an inbuilt integration, so nothing much to talk about. But yeah, we will be talking very briefly or on a high level, not very much in detail.
So. Yeah, and I do have quite some information on Signavio as far as our company. So I've just posted this. There are about 13 trainings. We have already done 2, and we'll be doing the rest. Just as FYI. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you for answering that question on Signavio, because you said it has a different license. But you mentioned it multiple times during the presentation, so I wasn't sure whether this training will include it or not, or is going to be a part of a different training. But thank you for answering that.
Okay.
My other question is that I have 2 questions. If then you can move on for me, if that's okay.
Yeah.
The first question is if you already have a solution manager that is heavily used,
right,
which means monitoring charm and the early watch alert and all of that. Is it possible? Does this include migration process, or does it have to be built from scratch?
Okay,
does it have to be implemented from scratch?
Okay, so there are 2 parts to that answer. First is, there are migration paths, but the second part is that it doesn't, or it's functionality based. Like for each functionality, there's a there are migration path or a migration approach, SAP standard, which SAP provides, and it also provides support. But there are some functionalities which don't provide any migration path. So for those, you have to start from scratch. So like you talked about EWS. So currently, we don't have any kind of functionality in Cloud ALM, but it is in the, how to put it, in the roadmap. They will have it. So like if you want, so if you as of if you want to migrate or use EW and Cloud ALM, you will not be able to do it.
Okay.
Similarly, yeah. So it's not a like for not for complete migration, but it's functionality based. Like for each one, like so process management, there's a migration approach, and on that also, it's not like you can migrate everything. Like I'll take example of test management. So you have your test cases. If you're using test management, you have your test cases. So you can import your test cases as is to Cloud ALM. This functionality was not there like 2 quarters back, but they gave this, right? But if you want to move your test plans, that is currently, again, as I'm saying, see, whatever I say in respect to Cloud ALM, it's a more of an asterisk, because as I said, it's evolving. So as I said, 2 quarters earlier, there was no option to migrate or import and export your test cases, but now it is there. Similarly, currently test plans you cannot import, but probably down the line for migration approach, they might give some option, right? Like EWS currently it's not there, but later on it could be there. So it is more of a not a product to product migration approach, but it's functionality to functionality. Like,
Gotcha.
yeah, okay. So
okay, I understand. Thank you. The last question I promise is, how is this tied to BTP? My company uses BTP for a whole lot of things, including we're exploring the option to use transport.
okay.
So I'm trying to, and also they're looking to implement Cloud ALM. So my confusion is that, where does this fall? We haven't explored this. They're thinking about it, and I'm trying to figure out how would this integrate, because as BTP is heavily leveraged in my company. So I'm trying to figure out where will SAP Cloud fall into.
Okay.
Where would it fall?
Okay. So I'll try to answer. If end of my answer, even if you have some, please let me know. So see, Cloud ALM is also one of the application which leverages BTP. Cloud ALM is built on BTP. Okay. So that is one thing. Means people use it interchangeably, but that's not the case. Cloud ALM is also one of the applications or platform which is built on BTP. Okay. Now coming to your transport. So we have a service in BTP called if I'm correctly, Cloud Transport Management, right? So that if you want to use, obviously you can use it, and that you can leverage, or through Cloud ALM, you can manage it. Basically, if that service is active for you, I'm talking from the transport perspective. First, transport is obviously like for your, on-prem system. Like there was a question regarding how do you manage change management. So that is one section where you're for your on-prem systems, right? And for your on the BTP also, for your other applications, you want to move your transports. So there's a cloud transport service. So that also you can manage through Cloud ALM. Okay. And how do you leverage or how where Cloud ALM helps you is like for BTP, you'll have other or even for BTP, you can monitor BTP completely end to end through Cloud ALM, and other, obviously, like if you have BTP, probably I think you'll have CPI also, cloud platform integration. So you can monitor CPI, it's health monitoring, you can monitor iFlows, you can monitor complete BTP, and on top of that, whatever other services you're leveraging, that also you can monitor. So in that way, Cloud ALM helps you. And the other part is like it helps you to manage the transport section as well if you're using that for BTP.
Okay.
I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
We have some other questions, and I think somebody raised their hand as well. But okay, go ahead if you want to ask your question.
I think yes, it supports both on-prem and cloud system. SAP cloud system, it supports almost everything. But what are functionalities it supports? Like for SuccessFactors, it supports almost everything. For other cloud solution, it is still like most of them is supported. Like for some functionalities, it is in there currently in support, but others are in roadmap. But the plan is that for at least for all SAP cloud solutions, everything would be supported. And on-prem also, it supports currently.
Okay. We got this. Then another question we have is what topics are covered as part of SAP Cloud ALM admin?
Yeah, sorry, Cloud ALM?
Administration. SAP curriculum also, I saw this Cloud ALM. One of the topic is administration, implementation, operation, and transformation. These are the core topics I found.
Correct. So administration, obviously, if you take it in general, is mostly managing Cloud ALM. But the course where what you're talking, that talks about how do you connect different systems. Like let's suppose you want to monitor or, want to leverage implement, like you're implementing an S/4HANA migration, right? So you want to have those systems added so that you can move your transport and everything. So how do you connect those systems to your Cloud ALM? And how do you, activate the different use cases? So use cases are nothing but like if you want to use monitoring or the implementation part. So then the other part is like how do you have to assign those, right? So currently Cloud ALM doesn't have a very mature, how do I put it, authorization concept. It is role based currently. So it's more of a like there are no authorizations. So those, managing those roles and those, so that becomes part of the administration. Then cloud solutions, you have to integrate like CPI, you have to integrate SuccessFactors, even. So there are some steps to integrate those systems to Cloud ALM so that data flows into. So that covers this administration part.
So even system provisioning will come to activate the Cloud ALM.
Correct.
So SAP for me.
No, you don't have to. No. That is of to provisioning Cloud ALM. You're asking.
Yeah, provisioning Cloud ALM.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that you have. That's a 15-minute thing. Yeah, you have to through SAP. If you have, as I said, if you have SAP interface through SAP, you can just request for provisioning, and within 15 minutes you can have it.
It's deployed. Okay.
Yeah, it gets deployed.
Also, you get user administration. No, you need to provision users and Cloud ALM.
So ideally, what happens, because again, it's covered through BTP. So whoever has your sub account access or the global administrator would have access to Cloud ALM, and they have to create the initial administrator, and those roles are there. But yeah, initial would have to be from the BTP side. Where roles and autonomy is maintained. No, that's what I mentioned. So currently there are roles, but roles are like, as I said, roles are more of persona roles, like change manager, developer, tester, project manager. So those roles are there, which you can assign to a separate person. So obviously, and inbuilt there, like obviously, like a project manager, if a person has a project manager role, he or she will be able to, like, I'm taking example, like he or she should have some control on how the transports move. But a person who has developer role will not have the complete access. So in that way, currently it is being managed, but yeah, there is no authorization concept as such in Cloud ALM.
So security guy has got a work, but basis guy no work.
If basis guy learns Cloud ALM, then he will have too much work, and it's so.
We're going to talk about a little bit about the server. So Cloud ALM is a free trial. When you enroll for this, you are going to get that free trial. We'll set it up for you guys. But at the same time, what we are doing is that we are connecting the Cloud ALM to the backend S4 because someone wants to do some end-to-end projects on it. So you show you. If you want to go ahead and describe a little bit more, they will really like that as a part of the course.
Yeah. So as Alok said, so we'll be doing some, I'll be initially doing demo, then we'll be doing some hands-on where we'll be, the whole implementation cycle where we, from scratch, we'll be creating projects, scope, the modeling, test cases, then moving the changes, everything. So we'll be doing that both through demo and hands-on. So you'll have a complete picture, and we'll do it not once, but we'll do it for 2-3 scenarios. So you'll have a complete understanding on that. Okay. On the operation part also we'll touch, but since we do not have a live system to show everything there, but we'll touch base on the operation part as well from the demo and
from the free trial version, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
That perspective. Okay.
Correct.
Sounds good. Anyone has any question on that, the server and access and connecting the backend S4, anything? All right. One more question is there. It's from why would a customer? Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So as I said, FRN is positioned as a different. It's only a monitoring tool. Okay. And it is positioned for either for service providers or any customers who has a huge landscape, like using in terms of they have many servers and many systems, right? So if they have, so obviously SAP also only for the monitoring part. FRN doesn't have any other capability. So if obviously if you're a customer or if any of your specific customers or it's a service, ideally it was like FRN was actually an internal tool for SAP itself. For before RISE, they used to call it, HEC. They had HEC and HEC customer, right? You would have your system hosted on the HEC server. So during that time, they built this tool FRN so that they could manage multiple customers. But this tool became so mature and so good, they did it. They released it for public. So it's mainly for, as I said, for public, for big service provider who can manage it similarly. For multiple customers, they can manage the monitoring, or a big global customer who has too many systems to manage. And it is obviously, from a monitoring perspective, it obviously gives you more advantage or more capabilities than Cloud ALM. Like it gives you end-to-end monitoring for a lot of many things, which Cloud ALM doesn't have, and SAP is not probably planning for that as well. Like it is, because it is, FRN will be there, right? It is not getting sunset. It's a separate product. So FRN would also be there, and Cloud ALM would also be there. So FRN is positioned as the only for monitoring capability, and that too for big landscape or service providers. Cloud ALM is your ALM tool, Application Lifecycle Management tool, where for implementation area and operations. So if you have a not obviously big landscape, also you can manage the Cloud ALM, but it depends if you have too many monitoring capabilities or you want end-to-end monitoring. So probably at that time you'll have leverage.
Yeah, because what is that one thing which I'm not clear at the moment, Ratan, is that, see, SAP Cloud ALM would be the future go-to, right, as a substitute for Solman, and CALM will cover both your ALM as well as the monitoring.
Correct.
And when CALM is there, and we also mentioned, right, that for large landscapes also your 8 GB tenant would be sufficient, and it obviously comes for free for the customer when he buys that enterprise. So why would a customer typically invest additional money for FRN? Because that requires altogether a different specialist.
Correct.
What would be the driving point for a customer to go ahead and go for FRN when there is already a CALM, right, which is doing both the things?
So see, FRN is still there, and like FRN existed along with Solution Manager as well, right? So it, as I said, it makes a business case for either for service providers who want to manage the monitoring part only, for like they can have one system and provide it as a monitoring as a service to their customers, where they can what SAP does currently. They also leverage FRN to monitor the SAP RISE customers. If they provide some level of monitoring, so that SAP provides it to FRN, their own FRN. So the business case for FRN is are only two: if a service provider wants it, or if a customer, or to be put it three, if a customer has a very big landscape and they want extensive monitoring, right? Cloud ALM has monitoring, but it is not very extensive. Monitoring is one of the functionalities being provided by Cloud ALM. So it is extensive, but when you compare it to FRN on a comparison basis, it's not that extensive. So if some customer is looking for very extensive monitoring, that they have a high availability, or like end-to-end, like to take an example, in FRN you can monitor a PI message. I'm just taking example end-to-end. That you can. So it has extensive monitoring capability as well. So the business case would be that if a customer wants extensive monitoring capability and a big landscape, so they can go with FRN along with Cloud ALM, because for ALM anyways, since it's free also, and my customers, I always give them suggestion to go for Cloud ALM. FRN they can decide it later, because they still have some time, because Solution Manager is still there, right? So they still have some time. If they think that Cloud ALM is not sufficient for monitoring perspective for their monitoring capability, they can obviously go to FRN. They can have FRN as well. Yeah.
Okay. So just a couple of questions here, right? Yeah. So would you be covering these differences between FRN and Cloud ALM in the session, in the follow-up session, or the later probably, in terms of the capability differences?
No, that is not part of this training, but I cover it somewhere. That's not a problem. It's a short topic, so I'll cover it. Yeah.
And okay, sure, that's help. Thanks. And we're talking through the roadmap of CALM as to where else. Okay.
Correct. What is there in the pipeline, And
so one of the key things, right, and as I mentioned, right, I'm trying to understand if the AI capabilities are already there, available for the customers. Are there some customers already leveraging those AI capabilities like predictive analysis and all, right? Because I'm not sure.
Predictive analysis is there, but as I said, it's still in very nascent stage. And there's event management correlation as well, which uses but it is there in the roadmap as well. So that I'll also cover. It will give you just taking example like if you have a health monitoring, it will predict better, or it will predict based on your trend analysis when the next issue might happen. So, but that is still like it's there, but probably it is coming.
Okay, yeah. Thanks so much.
Awesome. All right, let's continue with the session PowerPoint, and then this is a very good session. I mean, the questions are amazing. I really like the questions. So let's cover the PowerPoint, and then we will take some more questions. And then I'll also show you the learning management system, how we can help, what projects we have done. If you want to see some of that, we can surely connect. Also, just want to let you know, if anyone here wants to connect with me, I'm pretty much very active on LinkedIn as well. I will share my email ID here as well, so you guys can connect right there. And it is alok@ZaranTech.com. You can connect with me anytime you want. I've been involved in many projects on cloud, I'll tell you more of that stuff if you're interested. So go ahead, please. Now.
Yeah, thanks, Alok. So as I had mentioned, I mentioned it earlier, so we can leverage the SAP Activate methodology that is inbuilt. You just have to, I will show that in the demo and in the course also, that how to. So it's just from the drop down, you select what you want to use as best practice. And then also for S4HANA implementation or cloud implementation, it provides the readiness check. So that also you can import into Cloud ALM, and based on that you can create your requirements and tasks, so that you don't have to like you have the result of your readiness check or the simplification, and you want to create tasks, so you don't have to do it manually. You can, so it simplifies at least for S4HANA, it simplifies your some effort, right? A lot of manual effort, right? You can run multiple projects through Cloud ALM. So it's not like you can run only one project. So you could have, at any given point of time, you could have your, multiple projects, big, small, running. So you can use Cloud ALM to manage all your projects. So it could work as the, central hub for all your project activities. Okay. As I said, you can manage your workshop, like your fit to gap workshops, your changes through change and deployment, your test through test management. So everything you can manage at one place. You don't have to for in some of the projects you might have seen that we use some other tool. We use Jira, or we use RefTrack, or we use other tools to manage separate different things. Like for testing, we are using something else, right? HPLM or something. But if you want to leverage, you will have only one place where you can leverage. You can use everything. You move within different tools, so that helps a lot, right? And since in the SAP product, no one understands SAP better than SAP, right? So they are, and as I said, in the roadmap, you will also see, so the features, whatever they are bringing, it's from that point of view, right? Obviously, it provides you full system and performance monitoring, which I have already covered. We'll cover in detail the training as well. Early issue detection, as I was saying, like from a trend analysis, it can help you, which is first, it is still there, but not in a very defined way, right? But it's there in the pipeline from AI or ML perspective, that it could predict. I'm just taking an example. Let's suppose you have a job which maybe on weekend fails, or weekend it takes more time, right? So Cloud ALM can help you, or at least it will give you that the analysis that this job has a performance issue on every weekend. So you can take a look, right? So that those kind of things are there, right? So that is apart apart from Cloud ALM, we have Solution Manager, which includes Focus Build and Focus Insights. But as I said, 2027 is the end of support date for Solution Manager. So that's why we are in this training or in this webinar to listen more about Cloud ALM. Focus Run will be there. So it is still there. It was there earlier. It always existed along with Solution Manager. So it is designed for large IT operations, as I mentioned. So either you are a service provider, or you have a very large IT landscape which you have to support from a monitoring perspective. So just to clear, Focus Run is only for monitoring. It doesn't provide any other capabilities like change management, test management. So it is monitoring, but monitoring, it's very extensive if you want to leverage. Okay. So Cloud ALM covers both like your implementation or your project lifecycle as well, and your support or AMS lifecycle as well. Right. So it covers both the scenarios. So all the whatever you can think of, or whatever solution, if I take an example of solution manager. So whatever solution manager core functionalities was providing, Cloud ALM provides you the same functionalities. As I said, it's still in develop, not mature enough, but it is still there. So it is like maybe some, as I said, some features are in roadmap, some features were not there 2 quarters back, but now it is there. So like that, Cloud ALM is evolving. But the goal of SAP also is to bring it as close to SAP Solution Manager as possible, based on the current state of Solution Manager. Okay. So obviously, ALM will help you to manage applications, right? In terms of operations or implementation. Cloud ALM should be used, the life cycle will be used by the developers, by the analysts, the teams, the project manager, in some cases, end users as well, right? And it has a very nice UI. So it is easy to understand and use. So SAP has put a lot of emphasis on that the UI is easier to understand, and because they also understand, or SAP also understand, that Cloud ALM would not be accessed or used only by technical or functional. There would be project manager, end users, or other people also using business using, right? So they have kept the UI as easy to understand as possible. And obviously, like if you are using Cloud ALM, so you don't have to go anywhere else. Everything like you managing your projects, your changes, your test cycles, your monitoring, you can do everything at one place only. You don't have to move anywhere else. So you can collaborate in the one place. Also, you can on the same, like on the requirement, multiple people can make changes, right? The same project. It's not like only one person has access. So you can give access to multiple people on the same project, and they can run on the same thing at the same time. Okay. So stages of ALM to talk about in general are like, you start with, like if I'm talk from implementation perspective, you start with the gathering of the requirements, right? What is the business requirement, IT requirement, then you try to correlate. You run your workshops, right? Once you have finalized your workshops, you create your requirements, right? Those things you can do in Cloud ALM. And based on that requirements, you start your development, right? So we can create in Cloud ALM, we can create user stories, sprints, phases. So the complete agile methodology you can use. You can have phases, you can sprints, you can break down your development pieces into user stories, right? User stories also you can break it down into tasks and stuff. Once your development is over, you would like to move to the testing phase, where again you can use the test management of Cloud ALM to support your testing cycle completely, and automatic as well. So for automatic, SAP Cloud ALM itself doesn't have the capability, but it leverages Test and Test Tosca automatic finish, which again is an inbuilt integration. So you don't have to, you can manage you can manage everything through Cloud ALM, the test cases, the test plans. But yeah, for the automation testing, they leverage the Test and Test Tosca. And then for once your testing is over, for application deployment or your release management, you can again use your Cloud ALM, change and deployment management, and you can deploy your changes. You can manage your go lives and everything. And again, you can do it in releases as well. You can create your releases so that, if you want to have your deployment in releases, so which change goes in which release, that also you can manage. And after that, application maintenance, like the operations part. So if you have any on the monitoring part, if you have anything, you can manage it to the operations part. Okay. How does ALM compare with, or Cloud ALM compare with the other lifecycle? So from my experience, I don't think there's any other tool in the market or in the SAP space which provides everything at one place, right? There are other tools that for managing your changes or managing your tests, but there's no tool or managing your PM, the project management information system that you can manage it through Jira and everything. But to manage everything, you don't have one tool. And Cloud ALM solves that problem. Not problem, but obviously you would always want to have only one, where you have to log in only one place, or you only have to book at one URL, and there you go and you can manage everything, right? You want to see your project status, you want to see how the status of your running system, live system, how many changes are pending, what test cases, right? You want to see an analytics of, okay, where are for which areas of which business process most of the issues are happening. You can leverage business process monitoring, everything you learn. So it's one stop shop for everything. So in that way, it compares, I think, at least in my perspective, compares obviously favorable with any other tool you have or you might have used, right? Or any, correct. So in that way. Yeah. So as I had mentioned already, so most of the major products which SAP or you might be using, like S4HANA, public or private edition, on-prem, SuccessFactors, Ariba, most of the major products are supported completely end-to-end from implementation and operation monitoring part as well. So you don't have to worry about it. Most of the cloud solutions are also supported there, like as because most of the cloud solutions are supported, but yeah, the functionality, all functionalities are being currently supported. That would like currently it could have like so Ariba, we have health monitoring, integration monitoring, but we don't have synthetic monitoring. So that is in the pipeline. So like that, major chunk of all the major products are covered completely. Okay. On-prem is supported currently end to end. So that also, if you have an on-prem implementation of an S4HANA system, that you can support monitoring, was the implementation, the monitoring also you can support. Also, Cloud ALM has they call it traceability. So it's nothing but, let's suppose you have a project running and you have created a requirement. So how does traceability work is that they provide, or there is an option in Cloud ALMs that you can link things in the side a workshop. On that, based on that workshop output, you have the requirement, right? So you get, okay, and based on that requirement, there will be some development work, right? So you will create a user stories. On that, either you can create, based on users, you will create tasks, subtasks. Once those user stories completed, you will obviously, for testing, you'll create a test case, right? Then a defect. So in Cloud ALM, you can correlate or you can interlink a requirement to a user story test case. Then you have to move the changes to a feature like change deployment. So you can link everything. So in that way, it gives you a traceability. So let's suppose you have a test case failing or something, or you just want to see, okay, for this particular test case, what is the, so you can trace it completely from the requirement till the test case. Test case is the where, what is the state of everything, right? So this gives, from an analytics perspective or a traceability perspective, it gives an end-to-end view of all the things which are happening in your project, like for a requirement, what all. But yeah, but for that you have to link it. But once you have linked it, everything, obviously you would like you create a requirement, so you want to, okay, for this requirement, creating this user story, so you can create there itself, and that I'll show in the training and the demo. That would be more clear. But that traceability feature gives a lot of control over the project in terms of okay, where it is stuck or where currently the status is, right, in that terms, right? And yeah, fine. Okay. So again, this is the life cycle, how you define your requirements. Based on your requirements, you start the work on the development of the features of the product, right? Then you'll do your testing, quality assurance, then development, and then continuous maintenance based on operations. So this complete life cycle is supported by Cloud ALM, right? And you don't have to go anywhere else to manage it or do it, right? So you can completely, from the, as I said, from the realize to deployment phase, Cloud ALM support complete journey of your life cycle. Okay. So how does it? So it basically, as I said, like, since it is, when you're working with S4HANA or any other product, so you can use the activate methodology, or you can best practices, or even if you don't want to use, you can create your own. You can integrate onboard the systems on Cloud ALM, right? So once you have onboarded, so all the modules are automatically integrated. You don't have to individually integrate each and every section, right? So if you have integrated the system, or you're using the activate method, so all the modules or whatever is available for the system, it could be S4HANA, it could be Ariba or SuccessFactors. Every module is automatically instantly integrated, and then you don't have to spend additional time, something on that, right? You don't have to spend. So once it gets integrated automatically, you don't have to work on anything else to integrate it, right? So this only talks about that. So I've mentioned this already, but like pre-configured, right? We have SAP Activate method pre-configured in the sense you can leverage it. Like, there's a drop down. It will ask you whether you want to use the SAP Activate methodology best practice. If you choose it, then automatically all the sections, all the process will come into Cloud ALM. You'll have the option to use it. Also, you have the option. It could be like, let's say I'm taking example, you are using a best practice. It has 100 requirements or 100 tasks or 100 processes, but not all processes are part of your scope. So you can de-scope the processes which are not needed, and based on only those processes which are part of your scope, and you can run your workshop based on those processes as well. Again, you have those processes, either you can use in standard or you want to customize the standard process, that also you can do. And if you want to create your own, completely own new process, that also you can do, right? So it's suppose you're fit to standard workshops, gives you the leverage to, use the pre-configured SAP best practices. Again, define a scope, assign task and track progress. So also I was mentioning about role, like, so let's suppose you assign a role developer to work. Obviously you will assign that particular developer role to a number of people. So if in Cloud ALM, you don't have to manually go and assign particular task to developer. So how does it work if you're using standard, the SAP best practice? So there are tasks which are mentioned as a developer. So that mapping will happen that, okay, these tasks are developer related, who has the developer role in this current project, and those tasks will automatically get assigned to those persons with the developer role. So a lot of manual effort. Obviously you can change that, but a lot of manual effort reduces, right? And obviously you can use the standard as is. If you want to customize this, if you want to not use all the processes, you can deselect them as well or descope them as well, right? So in that way, it saves a lot of manual effort. As I mentioned, it supports both manual testing and automation testing. For manual testing, it is in Cloud ALM. You can use it. For automation testing, we use Tricentis Tosca, which is again inbuilt integration is there in Cloud ALM, like Signavio and LeanIX. Okay. Again, deployment orchestration is nothing but the change management or the deployment or the release management. So again, as I was talking about the traceability. So let's suppose you want to check whether a requirement has deployed or those changes have moved or not, or where it has moved. So if this traceability thing where a requirement is linked to a user story is linked to a feature and the feature will have transport. So based on this traceability, you will be able to look up whether the requirement has reached, maybe it's in development quality or it has moved to production. So it gives you on the deployment part also, it gives you full traceability, where exactly is the change currently moving or whether it has moved to production or not. So considering this linkage which we have with requirement and user story, I'll be explaining this in the training and in demo and the subsequent session as well, just to give you an example. Okay, and it's a real time because it's a cloud solution. Anyone can access it from any place. Multiple people can work obviously on the same thing, and like they won't be working on the same task, but there are multiple tasks, or same multiple people are working on the multiple tasks, and it is real time, right? It gets updates more. It gets updated real time. It's not like it's on your PC or another PC. So it's a cloud solution. So whatever changes are there, it will be visible for everyone, and like that. So it's real time, right? And this, as I was saying, it has inbuilt dashboards and reporting, this traceability or analytics. There's a separate cross-project analytics section as well. We'll cover that. So it gives you a nice dashboard, which you can again customize what all you want to see, like from a project perspective. Let's suppose you just want to see if a test manager comes, he or she is just interested in test cases or what is the state of test. So he or she can create own dashboards where when they log in, they just check or they are shown what is the test cases percentage completion failed, right? For a project manager, is the overall project. For a developer, it could be like which all tasks are assigned to me and what is the state, how many days I have based on the sprint or the user story timelines, right? So that you can use. Okay. So yeah. So Cloud ALM also, or SAP also provides, currently the number is quite less, but again, it's like APIs. So SAP understood that probably some customers would like to have, data exported. Still, like SAP is positioning it as, one-stop solution, but still they are also aware that maybe some customer would still want to use some other tools for something, for test management. So for some of the features, SAP provides open APIs where you can, use those open APIs, RESTful APIs to export, move it to some other tool. So it is for, like, let's suppose from an operations perspective, I'm talking if you want to create tickets. So Cloud ALM doesn't, like solution manager, Cloud ALM doesn't have a ITSM functionality, and it is not their in roadmap. So they would not be providing any ticketing tool or ITSM, right? So, but what they have done, they have created an open API where, like for ServiceNow, you can create integration to ServiceNow, right? So that if you have an alert and you want to convert it into a ticket, that works seamlessly. So they have provided those. Then if you want to, obviously in both parts, like let's suppose implementation of developers gets assigned a new task. So you can integrate it with Microsoft Teams, where the developer would get a notification that a new task has been assigned to you, apart from mails. Mails currently are not supported. Cloud ALM doesn't send any mails, but MS Teams integrated again through OpenAPI. It's supposed, or if you have a list of your requirements, you want to export that requirement and publish some other dashboard or something on the line, you want to do something. So those are there. So in that way, SAP is very open to that, like to third party. So it gives you APIs which you can leverage to export data from Cloud ALM. Like you can test cases, your task, your requirements different, but it's still the number, not for everything, but for some things they are. So this we have for any implementation, integration, project planning, the workshops, the system configuration. So from a Cloud ALM perspective, system configuration mainly is onboarding the system, like connecting the systems, the managed system or the whichever is on-prem system or cloud solution to Cloud ALM, and that's it. After that, there's no other system configuration as activity to be done. Like in solution where there are other activities, but in Cloud ALM it's very simple, right? And if you have data migration projects or activities, that also you can manage through. It doesn't support data migration from a process perspective, but it can manage your data migration. If it runs, it can manage. But there is some talk of bringing something for data in Cloud ALM that is in the roadmap. So currently it's not there, but it is there. Some sort of, because most of the projects have this data migration work, right? Currently, right? As for implementation and migration, right? So it's there. Testing, as I said, we support, ALM supports both manual and automated testing, right? And again, deployment with orchestration tools. So we have the change and deployment manager through which you can manage your deployment. And you can also, as I think one of the questions I answered that, like for BT, like if you have your transports for BTP, so those also can be managed through cloud. Then there's another, I'm just forgetting the name. There's another, I think, sorry, but there's another, I'll get back on that. But there are other orchestration or deployment tools which Cloud ALM supports, so you can integrate and manage it through Cloud ALM. Okay. So the support, obviously using it, the integrations benefit is obviously you can have a centralized monitoring of your system and services. So systems on-prem, and like for BTP, if you have any service active, we can monitor those more services could also be monitored from availability and performance. There is automation as well, like for job monitoring, job and automation. There is like if a job fails, you can call a RPA workflow or a SAP build workflow, which can enable, which you have to build, but you can enable it that if a job fails, the Cloud ALM calls an operations workflow. It could be a RPA or a build or SAP build workflow, which can re-trigger the job. So that automation is there, and other things are there in the pipeline. Obviously, there is real time inside, like the dashboards are all real time. It's not like it's static or it gives you 1 day data with. So dashboards and everything real time. Obviously, it's cost saving with built-in SAP interface, because obviously if you have it's a SAP managed tool cloud. So if you have any issues, so by the time you react, before that you would have received a notification from SAP that there is some issue with your Cloud ALM tenant. Usually it doesn't happen, but if it happens, the SAP will take care of that. Okay. So in case you are trying to want to leverage APIs as well, let's suppose I'm taking example of ServiceNow. So you have to integrate, you have to create your endpoint so that Cloud ALM can talk to your ServiceNow instance. And also you have to adjust some of the mapping, like the alert fields which are there and the ServiceNow ticket fields might not be similar. So you have to do that mapping. And like for ServiceNow, also it could be bidirectional. Let's suppose you have an alert, it is open and it opens a ticket in ServiceNow. Once a ticket closes in ServiceNow, you want the alert to also get confirmed or closed in Cloud ALM. So that also you can do, but that we have to set up a two-way bidirectional integration, right? So that is possible, but again, it's currently very limited for very limited functionalities, and that too within functionality very limited set of features, if I could say, right? So not for everything, but obviously it's you can check that. I'll share that as well. We have a API hub for Cloud ALM where you can check what all APIs are available. Okay. So as I had mentioned, just 2 to 3 quarters, Cloud ALM was not very open to non-SAP systems, right? Or we did not have an option to integrate a non-SAP system. But now we have the option to integrate. So there are different ways you can integrate. One is obviously is an open APIs. So you can leverage the APIs to integrate the third-party tools or systems. Then we have Core ALM connector. So Core ALM is a SAP partner who have built some tests which you can obviously I think you have to pay separately for it, but you can use that and integrate your third-party systems. Obviously, also you can use your integration suite in case you want to, like let's suppose from Cloud ALM you want to integrate, you can leverage integration suite and leverage that suite for message passing and those things. Okay. Landscape management is again in Cloud ALM, you can say the administration area where you can, when you manage the system. So whatever systems get onboarded in landscape management, you have to onboard them, you have to add them. Yes, for analysis. So non-SAP system also get added there. Yeah. So open APIs for integration, like you can use is it for ServiceNow and for Jira also you can use it. No, I missed that. So Jira also you can use, but you have to integrate that. You use the API, set it up, and then you can have your task created. Like you create a task in Cloud LM and subsequent a task gets created in Jira. If you want to, if you still want to use Jira. Same with ServiceNow for a ticketing perspective. You can, as I said, you can onboard non-SAP systems and you can monitor them, but it's currently in a very limited space. Not many things you can do, but you can. It's based on open telemetry, so we can monitor, we can deploy scripts, and then it's based on open telemetry, the non-third-party monitoring or their integration. Obviously, once you have integrated, you can exchange data. As I said, it could be unidirectional or bidirectional between Cloud ALM and external system, but it doesn't allow you with every external system currently, and I don't think it would even in future. Not for every, I'm not sure, but for every external system, again you'll have to use your APIs and then have that in place. But yes, it is there it's there currently, not for all the functionalities or all the scope in Cloud ALM, but for limited set of scope. Okay, so all are REST-based APIs, and it's very easy to integrate. I'll cover that in the demo as well. I won't be able to cover that in the demo, but I'll show you how to do it or give an overview. So this is the Core ALM connectors. So this is again integration connectors you can use. Okay. So much to. So exception integration is one of the functionalities under operations where you can monitor like for any exception or integration, or like for an example, like for your map system, you can monitor your iDocs, or for Cloud ALM for your CPS, CPI, you can monitor the iFlows for any exception or any, so that you can monitor through exception integration monitoring. Landscape, as I said, is the where you configure the endpoints or configure for external system. You would need an endpoint in your Cloud ALM system. So like first, if you want to integrate ServiceNow, so you create an endpoint for ServiceNow first in landscape management, or for any system, you create the first, onboard it first, there, create an endpoint. And so ServiceNow is from alerting perspective. So for let's suppose you have enabled the monitoring, you have to create an alerting, and based on the alerting, you have to create an event as well. That on like alert generator, but based on that alert, an event would get triggered, which would send data from your Cloud ALM to your ServiceNow. Okay, so in that way it works in landscape management, where you create your endpoints for external systems. For now, you can create for ServiceNow, MS Teams integration, chat integration. You can create that for Jira. Right. So benefits of non-SAP integration. So basically, like then if you can also monitor your non-SAP systems with Cloud ALM, so you'll have one place where you can see everything at one place. Right, you don't have to rely on any other. Like we have other tools as well, like other App Dynamics and Jabix, which provide. So you can have one tool only to monitor all your systems or your non-SAP and SAP systems. So you have one place where you can see everything. Right. Obviously, operational efficiency in the way that, again, you have one place, data exchange happening at one place only. You don't have multiple systems to manage or multiple monitoring tools to manage, right? As I said, it supports hybrid, like Cloud ALM supports both on-prem systems and cloud solution as well. So you can integrate non-SAP system that can be on-prem, doesn't matter, but it can be integrated. So it supports both. It supports an hybrid landscape. Okay. So what are the common challenges in Cloud ALM integration? So obviously, considering it's a new tool or a cloud-based tool. So there are some differences or tech, right? So that is there. Then security is one of the issues. Not an issue, but as I said, there is no authorization object. So it could be that you want to control, you want to restrict some access, but you can't do it because it could be that the project manager and test manager maybe have some overlapping of same set of access, right? So currently you can't do anything. That we have to live with that. Okay, so this is one of the constraint. So, and error handling again, like since it's a, how do I put it? It's a cloud product and SAP owns the infrastructure and everything. So sometimes it happens that there are issues which you might not be able to handle because you have to reach out to SAP. So in that way, some things error handling being constraint, right? So these are some of the challenges, not major challenges, but some of the challenges you might face. But otherwise, since it's a cloud solution, SAP provides support for integration as well. So should be smooth sailing. So as the solution is like use middleware. So middleware use is like using CPI only as the middleware. No other middleware is supported. Obviously, monitoring tools you already have cloud. You can you can implement you can use only cloud element itself to monitor. Okay, if there are any issues in the integration or anything, like for ServiceNow or for third party system, you can leverage the monitoring, right? And obviously the open, so you can leverage the open APIs to whatever way APIs available. You can leverage that to integrate or support whatever systems you want to integrate, third party systems. Okay. So this I've already covered. The main two modules of Cloud ALM implementation and operations. Okay, so now go take. Okay, so this is the course curriculum following. I think you'll be shared this as well. But obviously we'll start with the the overview of all the cloud processes and the features. Then we then manage the implementation projects using SAP Activate methodology. So I'll be and we'll have a hands-on as well, like you actual real scenario where you create a project, the scoping, the processes, everything. Not 3 talks about that scoping and the definition of business processes. So business process will create customized business process, end-to-end business. You can create your own business process, you can leverage the standard business process available and we can customize that. And then from the business process, you can create requirements. So everything would be covered. Create and manage requirements, then definition of system groups and deployment. This is basically where the deployment of the transport. So this module 5 really talks about how do you manage the deployment of your changes, what all you need, right? Module 6 talks about your test. How do you prepare for your test phases, right? Test preparation, test execution, test reporting, everything. And again, module 7 talks about development and deployment. And how do you deploy your features, right? Once you have done with your testing, how do you deploy the features, the deployment orchestration, right? And with different tools. And eighth module will talk about the analytics, the traceability, which I was talking about. How do we leverage traceability and analytics, inbuilt cross-project analytics as there. Project specific. It could be that you have multiple projects, right? So you want to see a dashboard or analytics where it shows all the projects from a center resource based or from timeline based, right? And lastly, we'll cover how to plan for your migration from solution manager to Cloud ALM. Okay. SAP provides a readiness check as well for Cloud ALM, for migration to Cloud ALM. That also will touch base. Okay.